Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gig Member Q&A call. Today is Tuesday, October the 24th. Your host, Scott Massey, and James Cronk with you. And James, what an honor and a privilege to have Don Rea joining us today. I mean, what a story, right? Like from, someone who didn't find the game of golf until he was, I believe, about 30 years of age, former UPS driver, professional baseball umpire in the minor leagues, to today being the owner of Augusta Ranch Golf Club in Mesa, Arizona, and the vice president of the PGA of America. So, what a story. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about that. But, Don is definitely known as an innovator in our industry. He's all about looking at the game of golf, rather, through a different lens, the business of golf through a different lens. And, for me, he's got a great message, right? Which is, we can honor the traditions and the history of the game, but at the same time, take ourselves a little bit less seriously and, inject a little bit of minor league baseball into the game of golf. So that's a message that I really love. And I can't wait to talk more about that and learn more about how Don approaches things in his role with the PGA of America and as the owner at Augusta Ranch Golf Club, which was one of the best short courses in Arizona. So I'm excited to dive in today for sure.
Scott, I was flipping the channel last night, going through the television, looking for some sports, and I came across Ocean's 11, and they were talking about, the whale, in the casino business. It's like, you've got one of the leaders, one of the innovators, one of the most significant individuals in our industry that is driving so many things, and we have lucked out today to have Don join us today, and let's not waste any more time. I'm looking forward to getting into it. So, Mr. Don Rea Jr. Don, welcome.
Whale. Is that who I am? I'm a big whale. Well, my dad was in the casino business, in Vegas, so I know exactly what the whales are. But I'm not sure I'm one of them. I'm just one, the 29,000. I'm one of the 60,000 golf professionals globally, and but it's my pleasure to be on the show. I think this is how we reach out to golf course owners, obviously our golf professionals out there, men and women, and then also just spread the good news of golf, right? So I'm pumped. I'm ready for questions. I'm going to give it my all today, 110% for you guys.
Don, I don't think you have any other version of what you give every day. I had the pleasure of seeing you give a couple presentations last month in Palm Springs at the Golf Inc. Summit. I love the stuff that you were saying. We're going to get into it in some of our questions because, Don is someone that listens to a lot of people, and we spend a lot of our days listening to people in the industry, inside and outside the industry, to get their insights and their opinions. One of the things I just love about yourself is the perspective that you bring, and there's so many different layers that you share with people about this great game of golf and about this great industry. But also, you look at it from a different way. And I guess that's probably one of our first questions, I think, is just maybe sharing with our audience, what is it in your road and your travels that has kind of created this kind of approach that has influenced you and your role in growing the game of golf?
Well, I think it's just, first you got to love golf, right? You got to love people, and I think you got to love golf, and I think certainly the experiences we all have throughout our life, I think it kind of changes us a little bit. I mean, for the better. My umpiring years, for sure, I think it helps me as a leader now. Just because you're making decisions now, you're not afraid to look at this at replay because you got to get the call right. But there's certainly times there's audibles that happen as a national leader, and I think everybody behind you needs to know, hey, I'm going to call it the way I see it based on, the integrity and the character that I have. But, I think it is. I think getting to golf kind of as a second career, when I first got in, everybody knew everybody out here in Arizona. They all played junior golf together, and I was just some guy who used to umpire baseball from Las Vegas, so I really didn't know anybody. And so I got involved in the governance of that. But I do think, too, starting at a little par 61 like Augusta Ranch, which I now own just through the grace of God, to be honest with you, I think it does change you. When you see the different people who come to Augusta Ranch, you start to see how people consume golf differently. And so I can either create the same hot dog every day and hope everybody likes it, or I can change my dish based on who's coming. And I think that's what really happened to me My years at Eagle Mountain, which was high end, $200. Okay, I get that experience. I tried to bring a little bit of a human aspect to it, right? I mean, okay, granted, you're paying $200 to play golf, but I still should give you a hard time about your sweatshirt you're wearing in your college team if they lost that weekend. But then also seeing how it keeps people alive at Augusta Ranch when they're 90 years old and the one thing they want to do is just play golf that day. I saw how it keep marriages together. I saw how it brought grandfathers and granddaughters together. And I think that's probably all changed me. Did I ever think that I'd be, the eventual president of the PGA someday and, happy to be the vice president now? No way. But I think it's brought a different perspective to the game. And certainly, you said it already, bringing a little bit more minor league baseball to the game. Why wouldn't we? I mean, that's what baseball is all about. Some people say the game needs to speed up, but it's the time in between pitches is when you're spending time with the people you took to the game with you that day. And the same things with golf, right? We're riding around in a golf cart, and golf's just not about the shots. It's the time in between the shots, and that's the beauty of it.
Don, was there something that I got in the golf business when I was 28, actually, and after trying a whole bunch of different things, and I certainly discovered very quickly how wonderful the community was of people that worked in the golf industry, and I still say to this day, I've really never met anyone that I didn't like that worked in the club business. I think it's a fantastic industry. Was there something for you that was really something that kind of triggered you to be in the business of golf? And more importantly, for young people that are in the business or thinking about being in the business or thinking about leaving the business, are there some things there that you have seen in your travels in different industries that you would say makes the golf industry a bit special?
Well, I do think, when my dad taught me the game as a kid, I played it, he gave me the Ben Hogan book. It was awesome, but I didn't really love it. I'm not going to lie. I love baseball a little bit more. And it wasn't until I got older, my buddies were playing, and it turned out my dad had planted some seeds in me. And I was actually a decent golfer right off the bat, only because of what my dad did. So, I think for the dads and moms out there, when you're teaching your kids golf, it's okay if they don't love it right away. You planted some seeds in them. You gave them a grip. You gave them a stance. You gave them the love of the game a little bit, at least your love, and that'll work, right? It's all seed time and harvest. So never be disappointed on that. I think, for me, when I was working for UPS, as you mentioned, just delivering to that golf course and seeing a PGA professional, Jim Mooney, who's still friends with him to this day, seeing how much he loved working there. It was a little 9-hole facility, which is actually where the Cubs spring training facility is now. They got rid of the golf course and built the Cubs on top of it. But he loved it, and he was just a good guy. And I was like, gosh, you know what? If I don't make it as an umpire in professional baseball, and I was a AAA at the time, maybe golf would be cool. And he said, well, you got to be a PGA member. So then they gave me the phone number. There was no websites back then, and I set up my playing ability test to become a member. But I think it was all of that. When you see how, gosh, I see it at Augusta Ranch every day, right? It's just golf is like the antidote for a lot of things, right? Mental health, physical health, family health. I mean, we do it all. I mean, we invented social distancing. And so I think once you love the game that much, I think it's incumbent on you to kind of spread it out there. It really saddens me that in the United States, like 9% of the population plays golf. It still boggles me. You're telling me 9 out of 10 people don't play this game that I know would change their life, so we got them into it. So I think it was all of that. It was the people. I mean, for sure, it was the love of the game, and then knowing, man, maybe I got a different perspective than other people, and maybe I should take it, to a facility and actually work there every day. And I love it. I think it's the greatest job ever. You got to love golf, but you got to love people, because sometimes people are kind of mean. You know what I mean? They try to come to the facility, steal your joy. But that's all right. My job is to give their joy back to them. And so if you dig that, you're going to love the industry.
Augusta Ranch Golf Club. And we were doing a little research, and I heard you quote saying something, family, fitness, fun, and forever, which is just a great kind of little statement there about what the game can bring. And so with Augusta Ranch, I mean, like you said, Eagle Mountain, or you could have been in a private golf club. You could have been at something that was much different than where you ended up. But obviously at your facility, innovation, creativity, family, fun, I mean, all those things that I think for those of us that are in the business know is what's needed to grow the game. And so you do a lot of those kind of non-traditional activities. And I guess what I would ask, Don, from your standpoint, because as a business owner, right, a lot of our listeners are business owners. They are, yes, I like to say, if you're broken before COVID, you're still broken, right? So we didn't all of a sudden become expert marketers and expert programmers in the last couple of years, unless we've been trying something different. So for you as an owner, what advice do you give golf operators and directors of golf and managers and golf course owners that kind of you've learned at Augusta Ranch for those kind of programs that has grown your business so extremely well?
The biggest thing is, you need third-party providers. I mean, okay, you need them. I mean, I don't have any at Augusta Ranch. I mean, everybody books direct with me, but I understand those facilities that want to get on the websites to drive some business their way. My question is always, is that the same old golfers that are being redistributed based on price? I don't think this game's about price. I don't think we should commoditize it that way. It's about experiences. And so to me, what I tell golf course owners, you have to build a one-to-one relationship with your customers. Granted, they're going to play other golf courses, but I want a monogamous one, right? I want to know that you're going to play Augusta Ranch and wear my logo with pride. And I think that's the biggest thing I tell some of my friends that are owners or new people who come up to me. You have to manage your business by walking around. I mean, pre-COVID, I was doing the accounting. I was doing all the bookkeeping stuff. So I was just trying to save money. I mean, golf was hard before COVID. And to your point, we're all on a sugar high right now. We're all doing great. Woohoo. But we got to get back to the practices of relationship building, and I think that as a golf course owner, if you're out there and they know that who you are and they know that they can ask you about the greens or what you're doing with the bunkers or what capital projects you have, I think that makes them feel more attached to the business. So I think when you own a business, leverage that relationship. People want to talk to the main person nowadays. They really do. And then they feel like they're part of it. And I think the staff wants to see you walking around. Don't be in the back room doing Zoom calls all day. Walk around and manage your business that way. And I think that's where golf professionals should be. I do agree when David Pillsbury said at one of those golfing conferences, hey, the golf pro working the counter is like a doctor serving as their own receptionist. I completely agree. I'd rather put a young kid in the shop, whatever, doing the transactions, maybe an older person. I don't care. I want golf pros. I want them out there playing golf. I want them walking the range like in the old days. I want them building relationships. I want them eating with I'm a public facility, but I want them eating in the restaurant with our regulars and building relationships. I think you have relationships with your golfers. Then when somebody has a cheaper price, they don't go there because they're not going to leave Coach Don. So, and I think you got to take some chances, right? It's okay, to try different things. And sometimes they're going to fail. I mean, I did at Augusta Ranch, I did the Hit It and Catch It Invitational, where we played 9 holes and then we fished for an hour. And whatever fish you caught, you got to subtract off your score. I thought it was like the greatest idea ever. And like 12 people showed up. I'm like, those 12 people had the greatest time of their life. But I think it's okay to try that stuff. You've got to try new ideas because that literally, as a golf course owner and a small business owner, that nimbleness is really what differentiates you from the big companies. It's being yourself.
I want to go back, if you don't mind, to the price equation because, this is a conversation that we have all the time. And you try to explain. I try to explain to someone why McDonald's is now it's $20 to go to McDonald's, versus going to a high-end steak restaurant, a Morton's that's $200. From a golf standpoint, do you think that golfers look at, look, this guy's 100 and this guy's 80 and this guy's 60 or this lady's 40, and then they make their choices that way? And how do you think the golf industry uses the dollars and prices from a mindset of the golfer? Because I see a disconnect. I think that us in the business think that, if I have a sale tomorrow, someone's going to decide to take 5 hours off of their day and all of a sudden come out and play golf. I just don't think that's the way it works. But in your experience, Don, and you certainly travel all over the world and certainly all over America, talking to owners and operators, what would you give? What advice would you give an operator that's trying to figure out how the price equation plays in their strategy?
Yeah, it's a great question because, I've seen operators that, hey, if I lower the price by 20%, maybe I'll get 20% more golfers. That never happens. I actually one summer did Abe Lincoln days. Everything was $5. $5 for 9 holes, $5 for 9 more, $5 for a burger, $5 for a bucket. And I did more rounds and I lost money because it you just don't ever get enough people and enough rounds to make it happen. And some say, well, Don, if I get more golfers, I'll have more food and beverage revenue. Well, I don't know. Check your restaurant. How much margin are you making on that? I mean, last time I checked, most people have 50% labor, 50% food costs. They're making zero. So I think you got to be smart. Now, this is what I know that people are. This is a fact. There's time-sensitive people and there's price-sensitive people. And you've got to know who those are. I mean, at Augusta Ranch, if you're time-sensitive because you have to see the soccer game of your daughter at 1 o'clock that afternoon, you're going to pay more to play Saturday morning at 8. You just are, because you have to get home because you've got commitments as a husband, as a father. And so recognize that. They know they're going to pay a little bit more. I think the price-sensitive people, you got to give them times that work better for your facility. I can't have a bunch of price-sensitive people playing at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. I think they're willing to play at 10 if I explain to them, well, this is the price I can give you. If you really have to pay that price. I think you have to have tools. I think you have to have punch cards. Annual passes are tough because people tend to play so much they can displace your revenue. So put up some time fences on your tee sheet. I mean, for us, first hour, 2 hours of the day, it's 6-minute interval, or first hour, 6-minute intervals. Like, Don, how could that happen? We all know they're rabbits in the morning. Dude, they play super fast. They're on the annual pass. So get them out of there and give them that, so that you can open up, sometimes later on at an 8 and 7-minute interval that people are going to spend more. I think the technology's out there right now. I think there really is. I think you have to be dynamically pricing your tee sheet. I think the consumer understands it. They deal with it with airlines, with rental cars, and other, even sporting tickets for baseball games, right? Everybody's going to demand-based pricing and dynamic pricing. I think you should embrace that. You've been doing twilight times in your life. You've done squeezes. And so these are all basic fundamentals of just trying to get more rounds out there, or more revenue, right? Because that's what I take to the bank. But I would say you should be looking into dynamic pricing and demand-based pricing your tee sheet. 80% of your green fee revenue is coming from 50% of your tee times. And so you have to manage those times. Everybody tries to do a better job of selling tee times that are hard to sell. Forget about those. Spend more time increasing your pricing on the times you're going to sell, because those are kind of the time-sensitive people. So if you're not doing that, you're leaving some money on the table. And I get it. I got 70, 80-year-olds playing Augusta Ranch. They're like, well, I paid $20.89 yesterday. Now today it's $21.50. Hey, book sooner, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Book at a time that's less than demand. You'll get a better price. But I will tell you this. I don't give discounts when you're 1 or 2 days out. I'm not going to be loyal to those who aren't loyal to me. I'm going to be loyal in price with those who are loyal to me. I want you to book early and often. But if you book at the last minute, I'm going to stick it to you, because you should have committed earlier. And I think once you commit to that, call, click, or come in, have your same pricings, call, click, or come in, then your loyal golfers go, okay, I can trust Don. I'm going to book earlier. And that to me is the best way to run a golf course.
That's great advice. We would be remiss if we did not bring up the words Top Tracer in talking to you, because I know you're a big fan and I know it's had a big impact at Augusta Ranch. And so when we talk about non-traditional activities at your facility, and just, there's many things. You've talked about your restaurant, you've talked about branding, you've talked about making it be a place where people come that even might not be golfers, but they have a great time. I love that shot you've got from the patio with the tee deck. That is just brilliant. So, my 2 questions. Have you always been driving and trying different things? Did something tweak at some point when you all of a sudden had a eureka moment and realized that there's a whole bunch of pot of gold if I keep doing these types of different things? Obviously, Top Tracer, or that driving range experience, is creating a whole other level of revenues and warmth and body activity and all those other spin-off effects. What would you say, once again, to an operator that is thinking about dabbing their toe in that kind of world, that hasn't committed yet to that non-traditional kind of ways to make money? Maybe they're thinking about protecting their brand. Maybe they're thinking they don't have enough staff. Maybe they're wondering whether or not Top Golf is going to do it down the street. What would you say to someone that's got those things in their head?
Yeah, I think it all started just because the cost of advertising, right? It was like, God, 2-dimensional ads in some magazine. They were so expensive. I remember a 1x2 ad in the Arizona newspaper was $600, and I'm like, gosh, But everybody's, back then they were cutting coupons, but what was I really driving? And so then I decided that 3D Don was going to be better than 2D Don. I needed people to come to Augusta Ranch. I needed them to see the experience. And so I was like, so what am I spending on marketing? If I'm spending, at that time, I didn't have a lot of money. I was spending like $15,000, maybe $20,000 a year. And my idea was, you know what? I'm going to create loss leader events so that I'm going to bring people to Augusta Ranch through food and beverage, through whatever. I didn't mind giving them smoking deals on, once again, the loss I was having in the food and beverage side. I decided that was going to be my advertising budget. I was going to bring people out, and I was going to make sure the golf staff was walking around. So when we did movie nights on the driving range and I had an HOA picnic there with 2,000 people, that was when we deployed our staff to get out there and hand out flyers, shake hands, build some relationships, get some contact information so we could get back to them. And I think that's when I started thinking, I have to be my own funnel. They have to know who Don Rea is and Kurt Hudak is and Dan Lindsay and Roland and everybody at Augusta Ranch, Don LeHue. If I did that, then I could build a relationship with the customers. And that's where I decided to do that. Top Tracer, I saw Top Golf out there. They're going to outmarket me. They're going to outmarket me. They have way more money. They got this behemoth of a top range, of a driving range. I'm like, oh my gosh, how could I tap into that? Because if I can get them from Top Golf to Top Tracer and my bay to my fairway, well, now I think I can show an ROI on that. And it was $500,000 to put in Top Tracer, but I'm leveraging the brand of Top Golf. They're the gateway drug to golf, in my opinion. And that's what I've seen at Augusta Ranch, tying that in with food and beverage and seeing that. I thought as a par 61 golf course, I was seeing all the new golfers. Oh, man, I was wrong. The people that are playing Top Tracer right now, I've never seen these people in my life. And so it's awesome because now we're creating programs of getting them from a bay to the fairway. I mean, it might be from the bay to the putting green to the first tee, then to the fairway. I don't know. But at least now I know that I become my own funnel, and I feel like I control my future. And I do think rounds are going to go down a little bit, whether it's wars, the economy, or inflation. Something's going to affect our brand. But people still want to spend time with their friends. That's what COVID showed us. They want to spend time with their family. There's no price for that, but you just got to give them an opportunity to do it. And that's why I do believe in non-golfer events, whether it was bike rides on the golf course, movie nights, cornhole tournaments in my parking lot, tailgate parties, renting big screen televisions, putting them in my tailgate. I put them in my parking lot to have a legitimate tailgate party for a Cardinals game or a D-backs game. Why wouldn't I do that? They're doing it somewhere. So let me leverage them to come to my golf course and spend time with me. I want to be a golf course that happens to be at a restaurant. I found that a restaurant at a golf course doesn't get enough people to survive, but a golf course that's at a restaurant could make it because 100% of the people eat. That's just a fact. And so I'm going to leverage those 100% who are looking to eat and have a good time with their families.
I love it. Scott, I want to jump ahead to the second two more questions because the rose-colored glasses one, because when we were at the summit, Don, there was a great panel. You were up on stage. I saw a couple other sessions. One of my favorite ones was with Nacho from the Olympic Club in San Francisco. And he put up this slide that was scary. It was that slide that shows that if you have two parents that play golf, you've got a 25% chance of playing golf. And you get older, if you got one parent plays golf, you got a 9% chance. And if you've got 0 parents that play golf, you've got a 1 in 250 chance of getting in the game of golf. And I don't like to be a negative Nelly, and I don't like to talk about kind of the dark side of things. I'm generally speaking want to be optimistic, and I believe we are stewards of one of the greatest game in the world. I believe that the golf industry can do so many wonderful things when we need wonderful things to be going on. But I have great concern that we don't talk enough about 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, when this is as close as sometimes my kids get to sports right now. Like if it wasn't, we're from Canada, Don, so at least my kids play hockey. But like from a golf standpoint, they're beating Tiger Woods on the television. Their attention span. I can't get them to listen to me for 3 minutes, let alone learn how to swing a golf club. And you talked a little bit about the future of the game, and not in a negative way, but I think certainly in the conversation was about transitioning from technology golf, from indoor golf, from bay golf onto the fairways. And there was some different opinions about the success rate of transition those golfers. And so I was just hoping you could maybe expand a little bit more about what you see, what you think, how you think that operators should be doing all that they can in order to capture that golfer that goes out 4 times a year to Topgolf and try to get them onto the fairways, so to speak, and especially from a PGA member, getting them to take lessons as opposed to whacking balls out to a glowing circle in the dark. So sorry, that's a bit of a long-winded, opinionated question, but just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
No, I love it. I love it. First and foremost, my job right now as an officer of the PGA of America is about the 29,000, right? I mean, I got to make sure I leave this thing better than I found it. And I do worry because I think that, the golf pro position, the kiosk is going to check people in. So if my golf pro, that's what he does, well, then he's going to be eliminated. If that's what she does, she's going to get eliminated. I got to make sure that they're on the first tee, on the practice green, they're on the range tee, and they're building relationships. So that's where I want to take the PGA. Is like, hey, let's force people to get on the golf course because that's what we're experts in. That's what we do. We build relationship, right? I do think when it comes to golf, I do worry. It's like when I tried to. So when you get elected secretary, you do a lot of meeting and eating. Let me tell you right now, and you're traveling. I gained 35 pounds. I weighed 199 when I became secretary, and then I weighed 235 a year later. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said, I'm going to do a little better this year. I'm not going to drink as many IPAs. I'll be fine, right? I no more steaks. I didn't gain any weight the second year, but I was still 235 pounds at Don Rea. And then I said, I'm going to have to do something different. I'm going to have to eat differently. I'm going to have to think about my future. I want to be there when Katie graduates. I want to be there when Katie gets married. I want to be there when Katie has a child. And so I have to consume things differently if I want to be around for the rest of my life. And I think golf needs to think about that too. Right now we're on this sugar high of COVID and, open the doors, everybody's playing. Okay, we can get fat on that and we can think that we're full and we can think that we're healthy, but I think we all know we're not. The healthy things to do in the industry right now, the long-term things that we need to do in the industry right now are based on relationship. It's based on the future. It's based on families. It's based on kids. It's based on not marketing to just men, but marketing to women. It's marketing to the diversity of the entire country that you're in at that time, right? We have to make golf look more like what America looks like or what Canada looks like. We just have to. And so those are good things. Those are healthy things. That'll get Don down to 205 pounds and feeling like he can take on the world. When I think about the answer to that question, I think it's just doing the right things. Nacho and I have been talking now because I love what he's talking about. We have to be intentional about what we're going to do to grow this game because I think the gamification of it can't scare us. I think Topgolf has proven that. Top Tracer and their Go Fish game is awesome. Kids love playing it. I've seen some augmented reality playing real golf, but watching your ball go through targets on an augmented screen, whether that's the glasses that you're wearing or the phone that you have or a GPS device on your cart that actually has a front-facing camera that's showing on the screen. Like if you hit it down the middle of the fairway, you're going to knock down Death Star. Who cares? If I get into the golf course and they're breathing the grass and seeing what a golf course is about, it's 90 acres of just peace out there. If I can get them there, then they'll stay. I really do believe that. It's the game might get them there, but the game of golf will keep them there. I'm just convinced of it. And that's when it becomes generational. And so I think kids bringing their parents out is I wanted to flip the script a little bit with Nacho saying, I completely agree. I got to get more parents playing, which I think that's where Top Tracer is because, there's not a time commitment to it as much as a 4-hour round. Just give me an hour of your life, play a couple video games, maybe play St. Andrews. It's okay. You'll end up going, hey, why don't we play 9 holes of real golf next time, honey? Wow, that'd be cool. Can I just ride around in the cart and drink wine? Absolutely, because that's a beautiful thing of golf too, right? But I think it's all those things. I think it's the best people to grow this game are the people who love this game. Now, of course, that's the PGA of America. That's the Canadian PGA Golf Professionals. That's the World Alliance, right? The PGA World Alliance. But it's also deputizing, all of our golfers saying, when are you going to bring somebody? I know you're fixing a ball mark. I know you're leaving the course better than you found it and you're filling your divot. But that's not where it ends. It ends where you getting somebody on the golf course and just come to Top Tracer with me. give them a little grip. I know you're not a PGA instructor, but you can give them a halfway decent grip where they get it airborne. I'll take it from there, right? But that's where we have to do. I think that's the call. Is we got these 40 million people out there who are consuming golf one way or another. Can we get them to tell a friend, and then bring them to the capable hands of a PGA golf professional? That'll grow the game.
We were just talking briefly about before we came on air that we're very fortunate in Canada to have you come up to Montreal for the NGCOA conference. And that's one of our great conferences of the year. And you're right, the PGA of Canada, with all of the great work that they do with our different associations, club managers. Don, you've been in the industry of golf, especially through the PGA of America and other things. Collaboration, I used to be involved in the organizations to grow the game, and I used to talk about the fact that unless you teach the game, it's pretty tough to grow the game. So it's critically important that golf professionals are at the forefront of all that, and I'm sure PGA of America as well. Do you feel like, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, is there more things that the industries can do together to collaborate to grow the game more effectively? Or do you feel that through our various different initiatives, through all the certainly it's way better today than it was a decade ago and 2 decades before that when everyone was trying to own a piece of the pie. Do you feel like the collaboration globally is working to achieve this kind of growth, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think it can be better. I think when the PGA World Alliance got together and we signed the letter saying that we were against bifurcation, because the RNA and the USGA had decided that this is what they wanted to do. We weren't necessarily opposed to the ball going a little shorter. We get it, but we just didn't think 2 sets of rules was going to be good. And it was cool to see 60,000 golf professionals on the same page globally, right? I mean, yes. Thistle was there with Gord, and it was great. So, I'd like to engage that more. Mike Wan, they've started the golf development program. The USGA has. So, hey, you're going to work with PGA golf professionals? Because we believe, there is a side to, you can get bad instruction and become a worse golfer and stop playing. Or you can get good instruction and you might play a couple times more. I mean, how many times I've helped, where a husband wants their wife to play and he's just terrible being a coach. He wants it so bad for it to be working in their marriage that he's just a terrible coach. And that's fine. I don't coach my wife. Not going to do it. You know what I mean? But at least stop telling her to put her chin on her chest because she's lifting her head. I mean, it's not helping her. You know what I mean? And we do that with our kids. We do that with people because we love the game. And so I think it is recognizing the fact that the 60,000 PGA golf professionals across the globe, men and women, we're the experts in the game. We're the first responders. We're down there in the dirt, putting tees in the ground, got, dirt in our fingernails. Just recognize the fact that we are the organization that's going to make anything happen. And we want to help everybody. I mean, we believe we create spectators. We believe we create viewers for the PGA Tours and the DP Tours of the world. USGA and RNA, we're the ones who make sure people are playing by the rules. We're the ones who make sure they post their handicap. We're the ones who, want to get them the love of the game. So I think it's a little bit more, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to dodge your question because I think there needs to be a little bit more recognition to the ones that are at the golf courses. And until there's an assistant golfer professional, assistant golf professionals association, the PGA is what you got. And the owners are the ones who own the golf courses. They don't have much money. The Canadian golf course owners, the NGCOA, they don't have any budgets. They don't have a Ryder Cup. They don't have a PGA championship. But yet they're the ones who offer up our golf courses for juniors to play. And right now we're busier than ever. I have to give a compelling story to a golf course owner that I'd like to do a PGA Junior League event there. And I know that you're sold out, but can you give me some times on the back nine in the morning, maybe, So it's a long-winded answer to, I think we can do a lot better. I think there should be little meetings of kind of the heads of state talking about not maybe our ownership of what we do individually, but how's golf doing? If golf has stayed at 9% of the population for whatever, how many years? I mean, we're 9% is like a high water mark. Are we really doing stuff pretty good? Have we really improved? Are the commercials good enough during the tour events? Is USGA and RNA, whatever initiatives they're doing, is it growing the game? It's not. Okay, so how do we get back together and go, okay, what are some programs that we can do? And PGA, can you make sure it get implemented at your facilities? I think everybody's going to be like, yes, this is what we want to do. So, I think we can do better. I guess that's a long way to saying it, but I think we have to do better because this game's too cool not to have 50% of the Americans and Canadians playing it. I mean, come on. Wait, I don't know, 50's crazy, but can I get to 15%? I mean, come on.
Well,
Goodness,
come on.
I can't get 5%.
In Canada, I think we're close to 20, so we're doing pretty good in Canada.
Are you?
But that's because
Well,
half of them think they're playing hockey in the summertime, so that's the reason why they get confused.
Yeah,
And
they're practicing their hockey slap shot.
I will promise you, Don, that as a golf professional, I will promise you I will not teach a lesson, because that is not going to help grow the game if someone is taking a lesson from me these days. But, getting back to like even the work that you and Jay are doing with your podcast, right? And NGCOA and yourself, that in itself, PGA of America, NGCOA together doing a podcast about the business of golf, et cetera, et cetera. I think all those steps and in Canada, Jeff, Kevin, all the crew, they do a wonderful job of collaborating together. And I have, as I said, I think it continues to get better. What I'm fascinated by is I'm just always fascinated in traveling around the world. And if there's probably 1,000 different initiatives to grow the game, I'd like to see us just have 10 that do incredibly well and work and, drive results, and we can all get behind, we can all understand, we can all support, as opposed to divvying up the pie 1,000 different ways and everyone's got a different version of how it could work. But I guess maybe that's better than the alternative, which is no one doing anything. So I don't know what's right, but I would agree with you. The results would show that we're not moving the needle in a significant way. And I'd say that would be kind of.
Yep. That ain't my dog.
No.
My dog's a little dog. It wouldn't have a bark. You know what, James, I like what you said, is because I'm not sure it is like a national initiative of a program. I think it's just driving people to the golf courses and then let the golf courses understand who their customers are. You know what I mean? No individual golf courses really have a marketing budget. I mean, let's be honest, dude, we're kind of stuck. If you're a big management company, you're doing your best. But even then, when you're spending your marketing dollars, you're not going to play commercials during non-golfer events because it's extremely expensive. Mm-hmm. And so why couldn't there be a PSA type ad during Oprah or during, especially everything's tablet based now. So these ads on YouTube, it's just, I think if the industries, I think we preach to the choir all the time. Hey, play golf. And, it's during golf telecasts. What are we doing? I would rather not focus on what the program is, $99 and a lesson of golf and a round of golf. That sounds cool, but that's not going to work globally, right? Why can't there be a commercial that shows spend more time with your family, be involved in saving national resources for your country or your community, raise money for something that's really important for you, and spend a lot of time outside? You know what that is? That's a game of golf. And we welcome you to contact a golf course close to you. And then maybe we just fund some directory that drives them down to the golf courses. And then if you give me customers, I will convert them. But if you give me a program that I have to do from the top down, if it doesn't work for the time or the place or the price, I don't see it's not going to help me. I want a PSA commercial playing during the Super Bowl that says, did you know golf invented social distancing? Or golf is better for your family than any other, have some great stats. PGA, Great Britain and Ireland have some amazing stats of how golf is. That's what I would say. Give me some longer. PSA commercial. Dude, live longer. Spend time with your friends. I mean, come on, give me a commercial that almost makes me cry, that immediately goes to a website that says, I'm going to find a golf course around me, right? That is cool. That's what I'd like to see happen.
Don, you are the vice president of the PGA of America, one day to be the PGA president of America. And probably maybe, well, I do know it's a little bit different in the United States and maybe some other countries. And the path is not really what interests me. I guess my question for you, I'm assuming that you've gotten that position and you've volunteered your time and given up thousands of hours for the betterment of the game of golf. And as you said, the 29,000 PGA of America members, men and women that grow the game every day. Do you have a goal to achieve in your tenure when you got started versus when you become a past president or, decide to hang up the airline suitcase. What do you have a goal that is in mind for what you want to achieve during your wonderful volunteer work for the PGA of America?
Yeah, and I think it's the question on the screen, right? That's kind of what happens, right? You're at a little teeny golf course and you're like, I just want it to be a little bit better here in Mesa, Arizona. How do I do that? And you end up getting on a committee, and the next thing you know, you're on a board. And that's anybody who's ever been voluntold to be on a board. You end up doing a lot of work. It's just 80% of the work comes from 20% of the committee members. Been there, done that.
You went to the
then
bathroom,
you're just like,
and you're vice president.
And so then, you go through the sections, governance, and you go, I think I can make it better. I certainly never said someday I'm going to be the president of the PGA. No, I just tried to leave it a little bit better than I found it. And every step I was like, well, I guess that's how I could have more impact. That's how I could have more impact. And so, yeah, in a year from now, I'll be the president of the PGA. But, right now as an officer of the PGA, I think the goal, to me, when I'm done with this, I mean, one, I look at and I don't say this lightly because I was just at PGA Hope and I know what veterans do. They're the 1% that defends the 99%, right? And we love them in all of our countries. I think when you get into the volunteerism side and the governance side of the PGA of America, it's almost like military service. You just feel like I've got the opportunity to give back to an association that's done a lot for me, and that's what I see to do. I want to see, if there's some things that I think are really important over the rest of my life, but certainly the next 3 years, is one, whatever it takes to bring the associations together and everybody that's in the golf industry to grow this participation percentage. We've got more golf being played off golf course than on. Okay, can we leverage that to a number and let's have a goal? If it's 11%, if it's 12, if it's 13, can we commit to the goal and then hold ourselves accountable if it doesn't get there? Because somebody's doing something wrong if we're not moving that needle. I'd like to see, when we talk about the work-life balance of golf professionals, do a little bit better job there. I think we can reach out to the management companies and the owners and say, hey, what are some incentive packages that we can give to golf professionals so that they've got a little bit of skin in the game? Used to be that, you kind of ran the golf course and you had an independent contractor agreement with the owners, but now it's typically not that. You're just an employee. Well, let's bring back the entrepreneurism of, so if I work harder, I get paid more. Yeah, absolutely. And so I think we could talk to the management companies and the owners and just say, hey, what are we doing wrong? Is it an educational thing? Are we not explaining it better? Because even the new people that are coming into the game, do they understand that it's not, at the end of the day, when you get to be my age, 56, the work-life balance, to me, it's the balance of my life's work. I mean, that's what I experienced at Augusta Ranch, a hug from a veteran, a hug from a little girl who we raised money because her dad passed away. Dude, that's the good stuff. And that's what golf is. And so I want to tell that story a little bit more. And then I really certainly want to get our golf pros out of the golf shop and out of the golf course. I think that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where we're going to build loyalty and sustainability in the industry. It's all based on relationship, and we're experts in it. And so let's commit to telling the industry, get us on the first tee, get us giving group lessons instead of individual lessons. Let us build a relationship instead of build spreadsheets. And if you do that, then your spreadsheets will be just fine. So those are the three goals, I think I look at going forward.
Well, you're an inspiration, just from your personality and from the success, showing PGA members all the options that they have, right? I mean, this is one of the things. And Scott is a former golf professional. I'm a 25-year PGA of Canada member. I'm unfortunately also one of our biggest critics about PGA members. And, the number of times I walk into a golf shop and see someone's back while they're watching the Golf Channel makes me lose my mind. So, the reality is that when I sit around with a bunch of golf course owners, this is true. And we talk about their business, and we talk about who's running their business, and we talk about golf professionals. Far too often, the word apathy comes up. And Scott, I don't know what I think the next question is about personality traits. And that can be unfair. It can be unfair. And once again, obviously, you got 29,000, 30,000 individuals. They got strengths and weaknesses. And you and I both have worked with hundreds of rock stars that are golf professionals, and probably a few dozen that need to get in the real estate business. But if you could kind of share with a golf professional what you think is one of those traits that they got to work on, they got to learn about, they got to practice, they got to read about. Could you narrow it down to kind of one or two things that you think is what separates the rock stars from the future realtor? Nothing against realtors, by the way.
Nothing against realtors.
Just
No doubt about it. I think it's to get a raise in the golf business for years, you had to move inside into the back room, right? You had to be the GM, and you had to count the money, and I don't want a bunch of bean counters. I want a bunch of seed planters. I think that's where the fun is. I think this apathy that's happened in our industry is just because it's been beat out of them, especially after COVID. They're working so many hours, they forgot why they even love the game. I mean, I saw it in my daughter's softball career in club sports, right? You don't know you're burned out until you're burned out. I look at all those girls who were on Katie's first club softball team. They love softball. They play it every day. And guess what? We let them. And they got burned out because we didn't treat them and go, hey, hold a second. You need to play a different sport. You can't play softball year round. But they're like, I want to. I get it. Most golf professionals want to be at work. When they're at home, they feel guilty that they're not at their club. And when they're at their club, they feel guilty they're not spending it with their kids. And so both sides of their life, they're tormented. And it kills me, right? Because I get it. It's hard right now. So what I would say is, like, when you see programs like PGA Hope, where it doesn't just, change a life, it saves one. These veterans need you. I tell the veterans, please get pros to do the program because they're going to get it more out of it than you are. Even that sounds crazy, but it gets back to where the love of the game is. And so the quality that I would say is we got to get back out and acting like golf professionals again. I said it before, like managing your business by walking around. We got to allow golf pros to walk around. We can't have them so busy doing shop shifts or doing spreadsheets that they don't have time to get to know. I mean, while you were saying this, my brain was running a little bit at Augusta Ranch. I'm like, maybe I should have a meeting with the staff and say, you know what, next week, I want you to build a relationship with 3 people who play Augusta Ranch all the time. And we're going to have a little meeting, and I want to know who the person is, who they're married to, how long they've been playing golf, how many kids do they have, where'd they go to school, who's their favorite football team. I want you to know all that stuff. I want you to blind date 3 of our regular members and come back to me and let them know that you built a relationship with them. Like, that's what I was thinking when you were talking, like, because that would force them to do a relationship, because the quality they need right now, sounds weird, but it's courage. Some of our younger members, they're afraid to get out. Well, what if they don't want to talk to me? They don't want to walk the line because they're afraid that person's got their AirPods in and they're ignoring them. Now, there's certainly people don't want to be approached. But there's other people, when you're walking up the line, you see them looking around. And it's like me lost at an Ultra. Do you guys have Ultras in Canada? Those freaking makeup stores? I hate them, dude. My wife's like, go to the Ultra to buy makeup. Oh, my gosh, dude. I feel so uncomfortable. And I'm looking around, and I just wish somebody would come up and go, dude, where's the makeup? Here's what she sent me, a picture, right? We know those people. And what I've seen at Top Tracer, there's a lot of people, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how the machine works. They don't know what do I get a bucket of balls? Do I take my clubs in the shop? I mean, they're freaked out and they're stressed out. And so they leave. And so some of our younger professionals feel the same way. When I thought our outside service staff would actually help grow Top Tracer, man, was I wrong. It was younger kids. They just wanted to talk to younger kids. And they didn't want to talk to some woman with her husband of like explaining Top Tracer. So what I've discovered is I need different people working Top Tracer. I need the younger kids go out there. You see some millennials over there hitting balls, go talk to them and go, hey, what game you guys playing? I think this game's cool. Why don't you play this one? But we have to get back to being in the relationship business. The golf pro used to be the most popular person, not the most important, the most popular person at a golf course because they knew everybody. And they knew what drink you drank. They knew what ball you played. We don't know that anymore. We got to get back to that, and that's going to be courage. That's going to be walking to the people you don't know, who don't look like you, and building relationships.
And I would to connect those dots. You would like to think that technology should help us get away from those mundane things, the checking in, the tracking things down, et cetera, that would allow more time to develop that relationship and to spend more time and to play in men's night or ladies' day or to give a free clinic. I mean, the number of facilities that I shake my head when a golf pro tells me that he or she can't have time to give a learn to golf free clinic once a week. I go, if you can't convert one of those 6 people into a student, then we better talk about sales training, because it's a captured audience. Any industry in the world would love to have 30,000 people coming every year that you got to turn, 1 out of 20 into a student. I want to make sure we talk about PGA of Hope, Don, because I know you're passionate about it. We have similar vehicles in Canada and certainly in, I know, other parts of the world. And so you're obviously passionate about it. For an individual that wants to learn more or to get involved or to understand the benefits and how they can help others, could you just share a little bit with us about that?
Yeah, you're right. I think globally there's lots of great programs out there for veterans. So, of course, be the vice president of PGA Hope is something I really love. I think Folds of Honor does a good job, but I just love PGA Hope, right? I mean, it was a deal that we did with the Department of Veterans Affairs that we would guarantee to them that this would be rehabilitative. We guarantee to them that the PGA professionals that gave these lessons that are free to the veteran, they get subsidized by the PGA of America, that they would be taught by someone who's adaptively trained. So they understood PTSD, they understood brain injury, they understood above the knee or below the knee prosthetics, right? And they wanted to know that. They wanted to know that our pros understood how to use a gait belt or what it feels like to hit a ball blindfolded. How do you teach a lesson that way? And so we've done it. And like I said, I've said it before, but we do a lot of programs that change lives, but only one that saves them. And it's just because I've seen it happen at Augusta Ranch, especially during COVID. I saw some military guys come out and they're like, Don, please don't close the golf course. That's all I got, man. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing my best, right? I'm writing emails to Governor Ducey. I hope he does it. And they were afraid to not be able to come to the golf course. And so I know what golf does. It heals a vet. I mean, it takes a nation to heal a veteran. There's no doubt about that. But golf is sure the beginning of it. And so I do like it. I think because I see him come out and it doesn't have to be the greatest instruction in the world. Most of the time, it's just getting the veterans together and they go, wow, I didn't know this was going to be so much fun. Yeah, it's hard. But once you start embracing that think better at something is really satisfying and fulfilling, then you're like, that's the beauty of golf, that when you get better, you're like, all right, man, I think I had 20 putts instead of 34, whatever it might be. So at the end of the day, 20 putts, that'd be a tough one, but that'd be a good round. So I like Hope. I like any of those programs that do it, but certainly, coming back, we have what we call, it's PGA Hope and Health and Wellness Week, and we bring 20 graduates from Hope programs across the nation, and we train them up to be ambassadors of PGA Hope, because we found that a PGA professional who loves Hope is great. They grow the program, but a veteran who goes back and says, hey, you should try this program, they just listen to veterans more. So I think every program should lean on that a little bit of creating allowing the veterans to preach, in a sense, about their program, because that's what will grow it. And, we just need more PGA members getting trained up on that so we can grow the program. We put a governor on it of 5 students per instructor, mainly because you don't know who you're going to get. Some of them are dealing with a lot, some not a lot. We just want to make sure that it's not a numbers game here. It's a lives game, and let's spend time and build relationship with the veterans who show up to our clinic. So, and most PGA members do it for free, 40 weeks out of the year. It's only those, 6 to 12 weeks do they actually get subsidized. But it creates golfers, so the golf course owner should love it too, because a veteran who's addicted to golf, they're freaking playing every day, dude. They love it.
Yeah, we've got a similar initiative in Canada. A great guy named Todd Kiersten, who we've had on our show before, talking about adaptive golf. And it just made me think about while you were talking about that, and you mentioned it earlier on too. There's so many great things that golf does for communities. We need to continue to tell people. We need to continue to remind people, whether it's employment, whether it's taxes, whether it's activities for people that have adaptive needs, et cetera, mental health, family, all these positive stories, right? That's out there. Don, a couple quick last things for you, because number one is how do you do it, man? I know you got great assistance with your scheduling. I know we were one of 19 podcasts you probably recorded today, this morning. But you talk earlier on about balance. You talk earlier on about, you mentioned many times about doing things you love to get Katie, helping Katie go to college and everything else. But do you have any words of wisdom that you would give other individuals in our industry that, have aspirations, get involved, but are having trouble managing their work-life balance? And we all know it's not a perfect score. So sometimes we have a good month and we got bad months. But what could you share with our listeners about that topic?
Yeah, I think, we're our own worst enemies sometimes. We're really hard on ourselves, if we miss a phone call or do something. I think, one is it's really being honest and open with my wife, Karen, running for secretary. We had to have a little family meeting. I was like, I might let you down over the next year as I run for secretary because it's going to be a grind. And man, I don't want to do that. But, I really felt like this was a calling for me. I don't say that lightly. I feel like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So that helps. It doesn't mean it's going to fix the work-life balance. Two things that I try to do right now is, one, I found myself answering emails at all times of night. And I, hey, if I'm up at midnight, no big deal. I'll answer some emails, and because everybody's sleep cycles are different. I don't know what time zone I'm in half the time, right? So I get up at different times. But then I saw people responding to the email. And I was like, man, I didn't want them to respond. I just wanted to get it off my plate, not put it on theirs. And so that schedule send option that's really available on most email systems now, I think we need to use that. I try not to send any emails on Saturday, Sunday anymore. And I just schedule it to send on Monday at 8. Everybody must think like I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning, because there might be 50 to 60 emails that go out Monday morning at 8. But I'm trying to do a better job of not making something that's important to me drop it on their, on their lap on a Sunday morning. And then they go, well, I'll just answer Don. He's a good guy. I don't want you to do that, but they feel like they have to. And so I'm using schedule send. And then really the best advice that I think that I've learned is I have to be present where I'm at. I found that I was going to the golf course and I was just on podcasts all the time. So I do a lot of the podcasts from home now because when I'm at Augusta Ranch, I want to be at Augusta Ranch. I want to walk the range. I want to talk to the staff. I want to tell some Ryder Cup stories. And I think that's the key is one, you're doing it because you love it. Okay, so don't beat yourself up. You're there, but also understand you need an intervention every once in a while to go, Don, I don't mind when my wife says, Don, you're doing it again. Easy. Put the phone down. Okay, we're having dinner. You're right. I'm not doing it because I'm doing it because I'm kind of addicted to the life, right? Which doesn't mean it's good. An addiction's bad, however you look at it, right? Yeah. And so I that's what I told Karen. It's like, hey, when you're yelling at me because I'm doing it, it's not helping me. I need this kind of like, you're doing it again. I know you don't want to be distance from me, but you are right now. Okay. But I really think it's being present. Wherever I'm at, I try to be present. If I'm on this podcast, dude, this is all I got going on right now is this podcast. When I'm at Augusta Ranch, when I'm talking to the Mets section, when I was in New York yesterday, I'm at the Mets section, dude. I'm not going to be distracted by emails or text messages. I think that's the key, because otherwise you'll feel guilty when you get back to work and go, man, I really care. I've done this before where Katie's telling me a story. I'm literally thinking about something else. I'm like, honey, I'm so sorry. At the Ryder Cup, she was there. She paid her own way there. She was there because she wanted to go to Italy. And there was times she was telling me about her experiences, and my mind was on why Patrick Cantlay wasn't wearing a hat, right? And it's not fair to her. But it was a deal, right, that we were dealing with. So be present.
Well, I love it. And Don, thank you so much. And just while we've got you, look, we're Canadians. I don't even remember who won or lost the Ryder Cup, Scott. I'm not sure you can remember who won or lost, but obviously it probably was a great experience, Don, for you and for your family to experience Rome and all that was. Do you have a favorite memory of that wonderful? I had the good fortune of going to the Ryder Cup in Ireland a long time ago, and just, an event of all events to be able to witness. Do you have a favorite kind of experience from your time at the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, no doubt it is a blessing. You don't get paid for this as an officer of the PGA. So yeah, do you go to Rome? Yeah, your wife comes with you. Yeah, you're right. There's some PGA members I have to explain that to and go, listen, I get it, dude, but it's a perk of being an officer. The best part is, the first tee experience in Europe is And I do remember who lost because it was us. But my best experience is that first tee. They have fun songs about all their players, which is cool. But, you know, the sun's coming up and you got 20,000 people singing Sweet Caroline. You know, Neil Diamond, I mean, I just, that's an amazing time, right? One of the cheers they do is the right side is saying, we're the right side, we're the right side, we're the right side of the tee. We're the middle, we're the middle, we're the middle of the tee. We're the left side. Hilarious. That has nothing to do with nationalism.
No.
All it did is have something to do with having fun on the first tee of a global competition. Golf won. America didn't win, Europe did, but golf won. There were 30,000 people at that closing ceremonies. Come on. If we produce this game the way it's supposed to be produced and show everybody what this is all about, we're standing in the way of it growing. You know what I mean? I mean, come on. We can do a lot better.
Don, you are personally bringing fun to the game of golf, and certainly in the PGA of America and everywhere else. We're just huge fans. We really appreciate you joining us today. As I said, I have no doubt that you got a chock-a-block schedule. So, you know, on behalf of all of Gig Nation, thank you so much. For anyone that wants to see some of Don's videos, listen to some of his speeches, hear him tell some great stories, learn more about PGA Hope. You can find Don all over the internet, whether it be LinkedIn or social media or Facebook. You're a master of all that stuff. And we look forward, Scott and I look forward to seeing you in person again and buying you an IPA in Montreal. They got some good IPAs. Not too many, but we'll get you one.
I just got to watch out. You guys get me all drunk because your alcohol percentage is way up, and you all laugh at the Americans who come up and get hammered off your beer. I mean, you know how that goes. But I love, when I umpired up there, whether it was Edmonton Trappers, Calgary Cannons, the Vancouver Canadians, I loved it. Actually, I did the Ottawa Lynx too when I was in the International League. So I love it up there. So I'm looking forward to being there in November in Montreal. It's going to be fun.
Don, thank you so much. Gig Nation, thank you for listening. We look forward to having another Q&A call in the future. More from Golf Industry Guru next time. And as always, we will see you on the inside.